Where in the world is Kit Dale? You're back in Australia, you're in California, where are you, mate?
I'm in California. I'm in West Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Living the life of Riley, I'm sure. I've been following you on Instagram. How's the shoulder recovery coming along?
It's pretty good. I had PRP 5 or 6 days ago now. I trained last night for the first time, and it feels pretty good. It's going to take like a few weeks before I really notice anything, but it's a good start because it's been sore for a fair few months now.
You said in that post, basically you regret, doing the things that we all used to do when we were younger and dive into, sort of any fight head first. What would you do differently if you had to speak back to a younger Kit Dale?
A lot of it would just be submitting a lot earlier. I think I used to get in this stage where someone would be submitting me, and then I would have this inner dialogue that's like, oh, what if I don't tap and I can kind of get out here, and then I'll feel so much better about myself. If I tap here, people are watching, or what's this guy going to think of me? There's a lot of bullshit I kind of used to tell myself, and then I would end up, a lot of the time I would convince myself that, okay, let's try and get out of this. Let's say they've got an armbar on me and I let them straighten that out, and then I try and get out, and then you hear like a little pop, then I tap and it's too late, or it could be any kind of submission, just a lot of crap like that, where now I would realize before the submission even comes on, okay, I've made all the mistakes that I need to correct, really. It's not, how am I going to get out of this arm lock, or how am I going to get out of this triangle? It's like, how am I going to stop myself from being put into these positions are much more important. Prevention's by far better than the cure. And I understand that now. So sometimes people will throw a triangle on me now. It's not even on. I'll just tap because I know the next step they're going to pull on my head, and I've got to I've had I don't know if it's a bulging disc, but I've had an issue with one of my discs, so I've got to be careful. So a lot of times I'll tap a lot earlier, and it's helped a lot.
I mean, that's basically all of our little, egos talking to us from the inside. I've had it myself where it's literally egotistical, playing over your technique, and you find yourself injured afterwards, and it doesn't help. So I do sympathize with you on that one, and I hope the shoulder recovery comes along quickly. You've gone and jumped into it straight away, put yourself into competition in the next couple of months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's two companies I'm talking to. The first one, I can't remember their name off the top of my head. I think it's West Side something. They want me to have a match with a very well-known grappler in Nogi. I think he won the World Championships last year, if I'm not right, or the year before, at Black Belt. And there's another one we're talking to as well for Fight to Win. But we're just going back and forth on prices and situations and who I can get. And then I've got ADCC locked in September. And that's in California, which is really nice for me.
Unbelievable, yeah. So you'd at least choose that side already. I mean, the trip to California, I mean, going across the world, leaving your family, leaving your friends, moving across, how's that been? I mean, because I'm not going to lie to you, mate, I think half a dozen of us are very envious of where your life is headed to in the future. It seems to be in a good direction now.
Thank you, man. Look, for starters, it doesn't come without stresses. Anyone I speak to about this kind of stuff that wants to do that, I let them know that there's a hell of a lot of stress and uncertainty that comes with the lifestyle I live. But I've been doing that for years, so I'm kind of used to that. So, look, to be honest, it's amazing. I absolutely love it over here. Me and the girl have been able to create a really, really cool lifestyle here. We've made really good friends. Like, I couldn't be happy with the friends I've made. They're like family to me. And I got my own family is amazing. They're always sending me videos. My immediate family, came over here probably 2 weeks ago and stayed for 10 days, and it was awesome to see my nephews and my brothers, and my little brother's doing well with the directing now. He just got his first feature role, which so he's over here all the time having like meetings with Warner Brothers and stuff. So I see him a fair bit, which is cool. But to be honest with you, I'm absolutely loving it here. I think LA is one of the best places to live in the world. You've just got everything you want to do here. It's got a little bit of everything. There's a lot of places I've been to, for example, like when I went to Africa, and probably the best beach I've seen in my life. No doubt the best beach I've seen in my life. But LA has a little bit of everything. So it's
100%. And
But
also,
like I
I mean,
said, it comes with stresses because it's expensive over here, like ridiculously expensive to live, especially like in Hollywood area, West Hollywood area. It's really expensive. I mean, obviously, if you go in Beverly Hills, it gets worse. But there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things that you need to make happen. But things are going well right now, which is great.
Good. And I mean, you're a diverse character, mate. I mean, I first started following you when you first did that black belt skit on Instagram where you walked up to the guy bullying the blue belts, the beard of jiu-jitsu. I mean, you did a rash guard with tatami. I mean, where did the beard go, man? Why did it come off?
Look, I was becoming too powerful. It was hard to stop girls attacking me down the streets with it. I needed to make myself a little more human. That thing was too annoying, man. I think when I fought Gary Tonin and he put me in a guillotine and I couldn't get his arm out because my beard was covering it. I was like, hey, this is annoying. Yeah, I used to get pulled out a lot. But it was cool. Like I had a good little run there when I was coming up. I think because I came up really quickly and I was being myself at a time where everyone was really trying to be very like humble and martial arts. Like I was more just myself, and I wasn't not humble. I was just, I try and be funny. I try and have fun with things, and it kind of worked really well at that point in time.
Correct. Well, it got you known throughout the world. I mean, you are known to be one of the quickest up and coming guys in terms of getting your black belt. How long did it take you?
4 years. 4 years and 2 months, I think it was. That was from not knowing anything, no grappling background, and then 0 to 4 years and 2 months to have black belt.
100%. And then basically, I mean, you were intensely competing on a very high level. I mean, you're one of your fellow Australians who's making a name for himself at the moment is Craig Jones. Have you met him? Have you rolled with him? What do you think of the boy? I'm not trying to put one against the next, but coming your fellow countryman, I'm sure you're proud of him.
Look, he's really, really good. He's super ugly, which is unfortunate if this happens, But, for all that ugly, he's got a lot of talent. I trained with him a lot in Melbourne. When I first come back after my knee reconstruction, he was probably one of the reasons that I started competing again, because he came out of nowhere and was doing really well. Like I knew who he was through like purple and brown, and he had more of a slow transition through the belts. I used to always hear his name, but he was always a few belts behind. I think I went straight past him when I was going through the belts, and I just missed him. He was a little bit lighter than me as well. And then I started training with him for about 2 years at Lockheed's, and between him and Lockie, he was my best training partner in Melbourne. And then he got a bit bigger, and he started doing really well. He's awesome, especially like the submission only no-gi stuff. Like that's his element.
I mean, those are the type of stuff that, which do you prefer? I mean, that's a very controversial, topic. Do you prefer the submission only no-gi sort of situation, or do you prefer, competition style where there's a little bit more strategic tactics involved? And a lot of stalling, a lot of advantages. I mean, which do you prefer as a competitor?
I prefer no-gi with points. I find a lot of joy in the transitions in jiu-jitsu, and I think the moment you take away the points, then you kind of take away a weight of a lot of the transitions that happen, because people will let you sweep them, let you pass them. You don't know what's really true. But when you have the points, people don't want you to do that. So whenever you might not win with a submission or something, but there's a lot of beauty in the actual match aside from that, and a lot of tactics and strategy, which I really enjoy. I think with anything, for me, I like to be well-rounded. I like to be well-versed, and I like to do everything. And that's even outside of jiu-jitsu. Like I learn about 10 different things, every week, like 10 different subjects. So I'm learning every week. So for me, I would get bored if I was doing the one thing. Even if I was getting, I know I could get greater success if I stuck to one area of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, correct.
But for me, the fun of learning and playing around and experimenting is much overpowers the thought of just being a champion in one division. I've won competitions, I've won world championships coming up. I know that whatever you win, it fades really quickly, and all that's left is experiences and stuff like that. So for me, it doesn't really matter so much on that side. So I kind of I prefer to do a bit of everything. But if I could choose one that I enjoy the most, I think no-gi, because there's less stalling in no-gi. In gi, you can kind of wrap up the gi, grab certain things, do the worm guard, all that kind of stuff. I feel like gi is like jiu-jitsu with training wheels, and when you take that off, then it's a lot more advanced. So because you just cannot pin people there, you can't hold things. There's no normal grip.
It's a lot quicker, a lot slipperier, a lot more movement.
Yeah, and you got to understand body mechanics and how to grab things, and it's a lot different. So I prefer no-gi with points.
Perfect. And then what qualities would you say are most important to somebody seriously considering like a jiu-jitsu international competitive like sort of career? I mean, it takes a very, 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 very strong soul to get into that. And what would you say is most important in terms of qualities?
Well, at the moment, I think anyone to a certain extent can be one of the best in jiu-jitsu. It's just at that level where it's still quite infant. And it's not like basketball where you need to be a certain height to have a really good chance. Anyone can do it right now. The biggest question is, do you want it bad enough? And for example, me, no, I don't. There was a point where I did, and then I was like, you know what? I don't really care that much anymore. I'm doing this more for fun. I love teaching and I love training, but it's more a part of a bigger picture for me. Where if you're obsessed with jiu-jitsu or if you're an obsessive person and you can stick to something for a long time, unlike me, then I think that you will be fine with jiu-jitsu. I would just be very smart with how you approach it so you don't, hurt your body too much. But anyone that's got a bit of an obsessive personality that doesn't get bored very quickly can do very well in jiu-jitsu. You just got to be, it's just like anything. It's just how bad do you want it? I see this in acting a lot of the time when I've moved to LA, where you see there's an acting class with 30 people, and it's very similar to a jiu-jitsu class. And 29 people are going to eliminate themselves because they've got the wrong mindset. They just want to be, an actor, and they want to make money, or they want to be famous, instead of wanting to do all the work that's necessary to be really good at that. So if you fall in love with the art itself and you love little parts of it that are tedious for most people, you're going to be very good at it, no doubt.
Perfect. And then, what's your typical week look like? Your training times, your routine, your meals? I know you've got a meal plan that I haven't followed to a T, but it has helped me drop some weight as well. I came down from 94 kilos to about 81, so you'll be happy about that. I haven't said anything in the past, mate. But what does your typical training week look like?
So my training week, I don't train near as much as what most people do. I probably train 3 times a week at most, and usually it's at night time. I try and get a couple guys together to train. I'm lucky that a lot of my friends here are black belts, so we get together and we do a lot of wrestling. So my training would look like 3 times a week. We would get together and we literally just start sparring. And I'll do anywhere between 3 to 6 rounds, roughly, and with some good guys, talk about what happened, and that's it, really. It's a lot more wrestling than anything, to be honest with you. I love wrestling at the moment, so I'm doing a lot of that. As a diet, usually I don't eat till about 12 or 1 o'clock, depending on what I've got. Like today, I've got chiropractor at 12 o'clock, so I might eat a little bit earlier. And then I've got acting class at 6 o'clock, so I've got to work around a few different things. But usually I won't eat till about 1, and then I'll have 2 or 3 meals through the day, and that's it. I like to do the intermittent fasting and fasting 100%, in the morning, especially through training. It
definitely does work. And Kit, you've got a lot of things happening in your life at the moment. You were recently in a movie, Iron Sky, if I'm not mistaken, a German flick. I couldn't put myself through reading for an hour and a half, to be honest with you. So I did see a little bit of it. Tell us about the experience. How did you get into acting? Are you predominantly moved to LA because of acting, or is it a bit of both, jiu-jitsu and the acting lifestyle?
a bit of both, but it's much more the acting. I feel like I could have done what I needed to in jiu-jitsu in Melbourne. It'd be harder, but it's for the acting by far. So I did a movie called Iron Sky, and it's actually a Finnish movie that we shot in Belgium, but it's all English speaking.
Okay.
So it's not there is a version that is German speaking that they've sold to the German market.
I must have clicked onto the wrong one, mate. Sorry.
No.
What an
I think
arsehole.
the thing is, it's not out in a lot of English areas at the moment. It's like coming out of Sweden, Germany, Finland, a few other places right now. So they're doing all the premieres there. So it's probably their language right now, but it'll move towards America and Australia. The problem right now is it's a very politically incorrect movie, and we are in really hard times for anything that's politically incorrect right now. People don't want to touch it because they're scared of getting ridiculed or anything, of hurting someone's feelings. So it's a tough time for that. But regardless, I'm here for the movies. I'm doing I can't work here yet until probably another 2 months. So I've applied for the work visa. It's just going to take time. But I am doing a lot of classes. I'm doing improv classes every week, 2 classes, now 3 classes. I've been accepted into the class above what I was, so I'm doing more advanced. It's not advanced; it's actually basic improv, but it's it's like a blue belt level now.
100%. So you're running through the ranks quite quickly again, mate.
Well, I'm trying to. It's tough. It's very different, but it's the same. The same, success algorithm runs through it. Just work hard, practice, try and get better, put yourself out of your comfort zone. You're going to do good. And then I have a normal class as well. So I like improv, but I also like to learn how to do the normal acting. So I've got a normal class, which is a little bit more full on because it requires maybe 5 to 6 to 7 hours of homework every week as well before the class at minimum. Where the improv, you kind of just go in there and it's improv, so you just go off, go straight away, which is what I like. I don't like doing homework, but it's what it is.
100%. So you definitely say, your jiu-jitsu upbringing and your jiu-jitsu background definitely helps in your everyday life. I mean, that's what lessons I've learned. I mean, can you say that's a fact to you?
Definitely. I think because I did very well. Like there was a lot of, it's going to sound like I'm blowing smoke up my ass, but competed at high level in a lot of different things. I've competed at the state level, I think 4 different sports.
Right. And
I know what it takes to be good at something, and it's always the same thing with me. It's like, okay, how long can I be interested in doing it? That's always the biggest question for me. So I think with the jiu-jitsu, where I've done quite well, I compete at the highest level. I would consider myself in my weight division able to beat anyone at any particular time. And it's harder for me because I don't get fit for competitions, which makes it a lot harder to compete. But if I was able to get fit, I think I could win the whole division. And having that confidence is the same thing. I'm like, well, if I have the same approach with acting, eventually I'm going to just keep going up the ranks, and I'm going to get to a point where I can play any role and do well.
And then, the evolution of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since, basically, we started many years ago to recent years. What do you see, where do you see the evolution of Jiu-Jitsu going, and how has it been, from your eyes, in terms of seeing, the different guards, the way that people are pulling, different techniques, the implementation of berimbolo, that kind of stuff. So where do you see it going, and what do you think of the evolution so far?
I think it's just going to move more towards a no-gi situation. I think in the last couple of years, you've seen no-gi blow up a lot more. I think a lot more people are starting to realize it's a lot more enjoyable than what they originally thought, and a lot more advanced than what they originally thought. I think that the gi, I honestly think the gi will slowly fade out. It's a lot of crap. It's a lot of shit you got to wash every single day. I think it's a traditional thing that'll eventually will just fade out, to be honest with you, and people will start doing. I think eventually everyone will be doing no gi, and gi will just be something of the past where people I can't believe we used to fucking wear those things and practice in that shit. It's very unpractical in a lot of senses. I think people just do it because that's all they know. But I think people are starting to open their eyes up now to no-gi. So I think it's going to go a lot more no-gi, which is going to result in probably more exciting matches, less stalling. And so there's still stalling in no-gi, don't get me wrong. But it's just there's less opportunity to stall. You can't just grab someone's grips and hold them there. It requires a lot more control to be able to stall somebody. I think it's going to be more super fight events and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the way that from an entertainment point of view, on Flow Grappling as such, there seems to be a lot more super fights, a lot more submission only, no gi events at the moment. So on the scene at the moment, who's your favorite competitor to watch?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
That's why I threw it with you, man.
Yeah, there's no one I really care too much about if I didn't know who they were.
Right.
Usually it's like the people that I know that I'm interested in watching. Otherwise, I don't get that interested in watching jiu-jitsu anymore. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's who could I say would be the exciting one? I guess anytime Gordon Ryan's competing right now, it's pretty exciting.
Okay.
It's always interesting to see how he's going against certain styles because he's new. Anyone that's new that's doing well is always exciting. Like when Craig was new, it was very exciting. You wanted to see him, how he went against certain people. Now I don't find it as interesting other than the fact that he's my buddy. I really don't care about watching him that much because I've seen him fight most people. I would have liked to see him fight Philippe Penner and see that match, but probably Gordon Ryan would probably be the most exciting person to watch at the moment. Half the people wanted to lose, half the people wanted to win. He's got that weird, he's got a very weird personality.
He's got that love-hate, yeah. He's got that definitely, people love to hate him and then hate to love him. But anyway, with regards to, seeing a super fight, out of anyone of all times, your two athletes who you would like to see, in a super fight. It can be people who have passed or present. Who would you like to see fight?
I think the most exciting one would have been with two of the best ever, which was Rodolfo Vieira in his prime versus Roger Gracie in his prime.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I mean, Hodge is still going at the moment in the UK. He's got a very, very big school and still competes himself. That's an interesting one. Yeah, that could be quite fun to watch. Sponsors have played, a good part in your career, getting you there. Giving people advice. How do you go about marketing yourself? I mean, because you're quite a dynamic sort of character. You've put yourself out there. What do you do differently, mate?
Well, one thing I do differently is I don't have sponsors anymore. I have my own products, which was a great step in my behalf because I made more money from products than sponsors by about 100 times. So actually a lot more than that. My bad. Probably, even more than that. But let's say sponsors. I think the most important thing with sponsors is you need to be making some noise. And you see that at the moment. If you try and be very humble and very normal and vanilla, it's very boring. People don't find it very interesting to watch you. You've got to be controversial to a certain point. You've either got to be so fucking good or you've got to be good and controversial. So you've got a choice. Yeah. Be the best by a mile in the world and people are going to like you.
Be the
like what GSP was kind of thing, or be more like Conor McGregor, who's very, very good, but just a controversial person. And you got to kind of let people into your life a little bit, I think, to feel like they know you a little bit.
They know you
100%. Yeah, you have to be very open. Try and be as honest as you can. There's a lot of people that aren't honest, there's a lot of people like when I see AJ Agazaram posting, and I know AJ and I like him in real life, but when I see him posting, I'm like, that's not you, bro. I don't know who the fuck that is. And there's a lot of people that are like that as well. I think the best thing is to be yourself, and you're going to attract the people that like who you are. And try and be as open as you can. My buddy who used to be a big wave surfer, he said, if it's not recorded, no one's ever going to see it. So put yourself out there, record what you're doing, and if you're good and people enjoy you, they're going to come and gravitate towards you, and you can make good money off sponsors because that's what sponsors want. They want people to be watching their shit, be worn. And if no one's watching your stuff, no matter how good you are, then no one's going to pay for you. No one's going to want you on their fight cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I totally agree with you. You've got to make a little bit of noise to get recognition or to get noticed in the first place. So you've done that very well, sir. I can honestly say we've your reaches to South Africa. We have a number of fans here who are and anticipating this podcast to come out. You're good friends with one of our sort of pioneers, or I would say jiu-jitsu mentors, which is Georgiadis. How did that relationship form? I mean, he's a boy from South Africa, you're a guy from Australia. How did you guys start, amalgamating and chatting and starting doing things together?
Well, I think for starters, we were both a little bit different to most people, where we put a lot more thought into what we were doing instead of just like the practical side of jiu-jitsu. We were very interested in breaking things down. Nick is a lot more analytical than me, or a lot more procedural than what I am. I'm a lot more conceptual. So we worked together like quite well. He contacted me, I think it was, I can't remember what year. I think it was like 2014 or 13. He contacted me and he sent me one of his books and I liked it. And then we said, why don't we do a product together? So he came to Australia and we filmed the product together called Beyond Technique. And it sold really well. We got a lot of good feedback. It was like the first kind of product in that direction. And then we ended up getting back together in Japan and doing number 2, which was really cool, Beyond Technique number 2. And we talk, on and off. We just give each other advice, and business-wise and life-wise every now and then we'll contact each other. I haven't seen him for a while, but we always WhatsApp each other and see what's going on and ask for each other's advice on certain topics. So he's become a good buddy. He's funny, Nick. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good bloke. I mean, he's definitely, put jiu-jitsu in South Africa on the map. His jiu-jitsu brotherhood has a number of followings in South Africa as well, and a local boy making it overseas is always a good thing for us, Definitely, it's good to see that a South African boy is putting himself out there, which is a good thing. Kit, look, mate, you and I met at Abu Dhabi. I wish you all the best in your career in the future. You've been an inspiration to many people in South Africa, both to myself as well. I do follow you. I watch your antics. We share a lot of the same interests, to be honest with you. So it's always enlightening to watch, something different. Warhammer. I mean, how did you get into that? I had to bring it up. I mean, painting little figurines, for fuck's sakes. I do the same. So how did you get into Warhammer, mate?
How did I get into Warhammer? I had a buddy when I was younger, and I would have been maybe 15 years old, maybe not even, and that he had a huge collection of Warhammer in his room, and I loved it. And so I got someone, I started painting it, and I really enjoyed it. And then every 10 years, like I'd put it down, I'd forget about it, and then 10 years would go by, and I would walk past the store and go, you know what, I feel like painting a bunch of these. So I'd buy some, and then another 10 years would go past, and then I would buy some. I absolutely love it. I love putting things together, creating things, painting them. I find a lot of joy. I was doing... Like a whole day would go past for me painting, and I would feel like it was 3 hours, and I wouldn't even need to eat or drink. I would be sitting there just in the flow state, loving life. So I find a lot of joy. I don't play the game really. I don't understand it. I probably
I just do the painting myself. I find it very calming and therapeutic, to be honest with you.
Yes, exactly. I think it's so much fun. I think a lot of people would get a lot more joy out of that if they could let go of their their self-consciousness of themselves and just allow themselves to be a kid again. Go outside and eat dirt and do what kids do.
Definitely a man after my own heart. Mr. Dale, thank you very much for this sort of conversation we're having. I wish you all the best in the future, mate. I will see you hopefully in California this time around. I know I didn't get a chance last time, but I wish you all the best, bud. And thank you very much for doing this. Any last words for your South African audience? Any pluggings that you want to get done, mate?
First, I just want to thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. And I'm really hoping to get out there soon as well. Otherwise,
we'll make that happen.
My advice is go to my YouTube channel because I have a lot of videos on advice for jiu-jitsu. And if you want to see any of my products, go to kitdaletraining.com. Otherwise, I really hope everyone in South Africa keeps doing jiu-jitsu and growing it there. One of you guys is going to break through on the big black belt level really well soon. And then watch, there'll be about 15 to 20.
What's your weight at the moment, bro? What's your weight at the moment, mate?
189, 190 pounds.
What's
you do
that
pounds,
in
you do
kilos?
kilograms.
We
About
do
85,
kilos.
86 kilograms.
Okay. All right. So you're
Pure
good. You're good.
muscle and sex appeal.
Lovely jubbly, mate. Thanks,
out of
my
your
dear
way,
friends. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for what you've done in the sport. You have definitely grown awareness. Always good to watch, mate. And keep up the videos, bro. Keeps me entertained sitting in darkness in South Africa. So just remember, next time when you're running up the Hollywood Hills, you are being watched, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Nice one, kid. Take it easy. Love to the family, bro.
Likewise.